Hey everybody, welcome back to Premium Picks. Today we are going to break down UFC Fight Night Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. Before we do, please please subscribe. We're going to give you the breakdowns of all the fights and our favorite picks to bet on. We smashed it last card, UFC 302. Our three-leg parlay hit, made a lot of money. Our four-leg parlay hit. We had two five-leg parlays. One of them hit, absolutely killed it. So we're looking to roll into this week and keep the money rolling in. First fight of the night, we've got a ladies newcomers fight. Not a whole lot of tape on either of these women. We've got sorry, my page closed here. Puja Tomar versus Rayanne Amanda or Rayanne Dos Santos. This is a classic striker versus grappler. Rayanne is the grappler. She's got a lot of submissions on her record. Tomar is the striker, a lot of knockouts, and three of her four losses are by submission. So the line is heavily favoring the grappler here. I believe she's like up to minus 300 or close to it. I do lean the grappler, but I ain't playing her at minus 300 with a 14-7 record. There have been fights where she couldn't get the fight to the ground, and she's not a good striker. So, for me, it's not a play. I'll slightly lean the grappler, but at minus 300, not good enough for me. What do you think?
So Puja Tomar, there's actually a little bit of fight behind her because you come from India, you know what I mean? So there's a big market out there. She's relentless. She'll come after you. She won't let Rayanne stand at range. She actually has decent power for the ladies division. And I know you said that Rayanne's a grappler, but she's actually a natural weight, right? And the last two fights, she hasn't really been able to employ that ground game. And Pooja, for all the tape that I did get to see, she does get submitted. Don't get me wrong, but she also has really good scrambles. In that one fight, I can't remember who it was. It was in one FC. She got up four or five times before she finally got submitted. So it's not like. And I watched Rayanne's last two fights back, the one against Denise Gomes, where she got absolutely outvolumed, and the one against Alcantar or whatever her name is, and she could have won that, whatever. It was really close. Um, yeah, she doesn't push a heavy pace, and I don't think if you push a heavy pace, whatever comes down to it, plus 240 is where I'm going to go with this bet. I'm going to. I'm actually probably thinking about playing this dog at plus 240. I like her relentlessness. I think the scrambles, I think she just might be able to overwhelm Rayanne Dos Santos. And for minus 300 for a girl that fucking has lost two in a row and hasn't shown the grappling that you talked about, which does exist, it's too much.
Yeah, I agree. The odds are way too wide.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got Cody Stamann, 21-6-1 versus Taylor Lapilus, 19-4. I'm a Cody Stamann fan to a certain degree. I mean, he's kind of like a short brick shithouse with pretty good hands. I believe he was a former boxer. He's not a bad fighter by any means. And while I do think Taylor's going to be the longer fighter that's more well-rounded, can mix in some takedowns, just probably the better all-around athlete. He's not relying so much on power. So I do lean Taylor, but again, I think the odds are a little bit wide here. I mean, I think again, I think he's a minus 275 or something like that. And it's a little bit wide for me personally because I think Cody is a tough guy and I think he can give everybody a fit. So I do think Taylor wins the fight again. I do, but I don't think it's going to be easy. And I think it's going to be drawn out. I like all the overs and I'm just not sure that I want to bet on it. What do you think?
I think that Cody Stamann has underrated wrestling that he doesn't use anymore. He's fallen in love with his hands, and if you look back at some of the fights in his earlier UFC career, he's taken down guys five times, six times, on a regular basis. So basically comes down to this. You're gonna have two fighters that are gonna stay at range. Lapilus will probably have better technique, better range management. I think their striking is pretty much like the same as in Lapilus probably just wins the range battle a little bit better. But if Cody's able to push the wrestling like he used to, then this fight gets a little bit closer. So right now I'm leaning Lapilus, but I can make a little bit of a case for the dog here. Not one I'm gonna bet though, because I think it's actually closer than the line 225. This is gonna be a close decision, I think. I think so. And if Cody uses grappling, he might be able to pull it off. Lapilus has been taken down. He gets back up, but he has been taken down. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on to the ladies' 115-pound division. We've got undefeated 10-0 Eduarda Moura versus 8-3 Denise Gomes. Denise she's becoming a fan favorite slowly but surely. She fights almost like a Jessica Andrade in that she's brutal for a small woman. Like there's not many women that you're going to find are scoring big knockouts. Denise does possess that power. She plods forward and she throws heavy haymakers. But just like Jessica Andrade, she's very susceptible to being taken down and beaten on the ground. And she is facing Eduarda Moura, who excels at getting the fights to the ground. Very good grappler, good fighter, hasn't lost yet. And as much as she's kind of unknown, I think there's a lot of value here on Eduarda Moura. I think that this is a fight she will get down and will score the takedowns and won't be knocked out. And she will win the minutes, if not even potentially finishing her on the ground. But either way, at minus 170, I do like Eduarda Moura to score these takedowns and win this fight. What do you think?
I do too, actually. So, but she did miss weight last fight, but kind of worked in her favor when you're wrestling. You know what I mean? She's very large for the weight class. Gomes, though, is a bulldog. Volume from Gomes is never in question. She has the power to catch anyone, but her takedown defense, like you said, is a huge problem. When she's able to dictate the grappling, she wins. And I don't think she's going to be able to dictate the grappling here. And Moore is more than a competent striker. I actually think she might be able to finish this inside the distance, to be honest, quite honest with you. So, yeah, give me Eduardo Moore. I don't really need to break it down. I like the odds on her, like you said. Compared to the
Yeah.
other three fights we just broke down, like these ones, this looks like a gift compared to the other two. Sorry.
At minus 170, I truly think it's good value. Like she will be a parlay piece for me.
Yep.
All right, moving on. 135-pound division. We got 15-0 Daniel Marcos versus 21-6 John Castaneda. Now, when I first saw this line, I was like, "Oh, I got to hammer Daniel Marcos right now." And I was like, then I started thinking about it more. You know what? Like he has all the skills, but he's so low volume, so reserved. I thought he lost the Davy Grant fight strictly because he did nothing. He just kind of danced around the octagon and wouldn't let his hands fly. I think he's a much better striker than John Castaneda. The question will be number one, will his takedown defense hold up? And even if it does, number two, is he going to let his hands fly and have any volume? Because one thing John Castaneda does is he comes forward and he will be active. He will have volume. So I think it's scaring me because Castaneda could win with the takedowns or the volume, but I do think Daniel Marcos is the better fighter. Like I think if he can stuff those shots, which I think for the most part he can, I think he's a much more technical, better striker. So everything says Daniel Marcos should win this fight. I just want to see him let his damn hands fly. I am still going to choose Marcos to stuff the takedowns and be the better striker, but it's not a high confidence pick here. What do you think?
I kind of agree with you. Castaneda is a good striker, decent volume, great when you can employ his wrestling. And that's the thing, right? I'm not sure, like the last fights that he's won pretty comfortably, he's been able to get three takedowns in each. I'm not sure that he can get three takedowns against Marcos. Marcos, for all his flaws, has shown that his takedown defense is pretty solid, 89% in the UFC. But Marcos can be low volume, like you said, as well. But that was his earlier fights. I think he has the power edge here. He had 81 significant strikes before you just rocked QREI laying in the ball sack last fucking time. So, I mean, he was well on his way to getting over 100 significant strikes in his last fight. And what did I say last time? I think I remember, as I said, the UFC jitters. They brought him in as a big high-touted prospect and put him up against Davy Grant. Davy Grant's not a pushover. And I think halfway through that fight, Marcos realized that Davy Grant's not going away and he will be coming right at him. So, it's a little bit difficult when you're in your first fight, but he did look a lot more comfortable in that second fight. And I expect him to look a little bit more comfortable here. Um, I mean, there's a live bet on Castaneda. If he's able to take him down and ride out minutes on control, I don't see why you don't live bet because then that's his path to great victory is to mix in the volume and the strikes with the wrestling. Marcos has to keep him at range with the power. Castaneda tires. He does tire. So if he can keep him at range and stuff the takedowns, that takes a lot out of him. So I'm gonna lean Marcos.
All right, moving on, ladies, 125-pound division. We've got 13-9 Andrea Lee versus 12-9-1 Montana De La Rosa. This is a rematch. They fought in 2019, and Andrea Lee won by decision, mostly by outstriking her. Andrea Lee has let me down. I just don't know that I can be confident in her anymore. I thought that she won the Macy Barber fight. I thought she was kind of robbed in that fight, and I expected her to do much better against Miranda Maverick, and then she looked terrible. She got taken down in an accepted position and just didn't really throw anything on the feet. Just didn't look, in general, just did not look good at all. I mean, on paper, even though Andrea Lee is not a great striker, she still should be a better striker than Montana De La Rosa. And Montana is going to look to get this fight to the ground and utilize her grappling. And that's what scares me is that Andrea Lee, when taken down, sometimes doesn't try to get back up. She just kind of lays on her back. That pisses me off. So she's already won this fight. So you know that she has the tools to win the fight. But I can't bet on Andrea Lee at minus 150. I can't. The fight's a pass for me. It's just a straight up pass. What do you think?
I actually, so I like Andrea Lee a lot here. I rewatched that fight and she really did dominate. So like Lee's on a 4 fight, Del Rosa on a 3 fight losing streak. Your grappler versus striker. Andrea's not really good at much though. Like you said, getting up is one of her worst things, but she has given a pretty good volume and takedown defense suspect. Sorry, Del Rosa is a wrestler, but she took her down 5 times in that fight that they fought. 5 times. Lee got up 5 times and punished her on the feet. On the feet, she's got nothing for her. Um, I mean, De La Rosa has to hold her down for 3 rounds, as opposed to Lee just being able to stand at range and pick this girl apart, right? So she's done it once. I think it was so look at it this way. I think Miranda Maverick is tight when she's on top. Tough, very big girl, very good top control. It's not the same for De La Rosa. She doesn't have that great top control. She doesn't ride out rounds. You ever look at her, she'll get reversed, she'll get people get up because she just ain't that strong. And yeah, so that's my take on this one. Andrea Lee just man strengths up and just beats her. De La Rosa's face looked pretty bad after that Andrea Lee fight. So it was one I had to watch that fight over, and it's the best thing to. No one's really done anything since that fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say one's improved and one's not improved or whatever. So they're both the same.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're both. I mean, the loser could be fighting for their life here.
Well, I think Andrea Lee loses, she gets cut. So I think De La Rosa loses, she gets cut. So whatever.
All right. Moving on, 135-pound division. We've got Brad Katona 13-3 versus Jesse Butler 12-5. If you are watching this video, you've already missed the boat. I hammered Brad Katona earlier this week. At one point, he was a minus 350. He's now a minus 600. He is now a minus 600 favorite, and I think it's justified. I literally think it's justified here. I don't think Brad Katona is exciting. I don't think he's going to be a contender, anything like that. But he has all the tools to dominate this fight. He should be able to keep it on the feet the whole time and just beat him up. He's not like some huge knockout fighter, so I don't know that he's going to knock him out, but this is a fight that he should be able to, honestly. But either way, he should just dominate the fight. He should never not be in control of this fight. From bell to bell, he should be in control. Not too much to break down here. Brad Katona is going to win the fight. What do you think?
-3. That's that Grant Dawson spot I got last week at -330 before he went to like 700. Yeah, get right spot for Katona, 100%. After he possibly got robbed, it was a close fight. He shouldn't leave fights to get that fucking close anyways. That's his own fucking problem. He fights that style. It's not judge friendly, but here I don't think it matters. This Miller kid, best known for getting one punched by our boy
Jim Miller.
Jim Miller. Yeah, Miller. Yeah. So not much to break down here. Just sorry, besides Butler kid. His Jim Miller one punched him. The fight was like I rewatched it. It took like 10 seconds, right? Like yeah, man, he's not UFC caliber. He looks like he's supposed to be a grappler, but he's not gonna out grapple Katona and it's his chin holds up. The only value you can get at this point is Brad Katona over 1.5 or Brad Katona maybe by decision. So that'd be your only value left at -600 if you want to play this fight, but it's almost a lock.
All right, moving on to I think one of the sleeper fights on the card. This fight is going to be violent for however way it plays out. 170-pound weight division. We got the very controversial Charlie Radtke, 9-3 versus 18-6 Carlos Prates. Charles Radtke is the one who went off in his post-fight interview twice now, I think. This guy is he's like the modern day Jeremy Stevens, the little heathen. The guy is fucking very controversial. Let's just say that. He says things that you probably shouldn't say. But he's a dirty, grimy beast. He's a little heathen, man. Honestly, he's a little animal. He hits hard as hell. He scores knockouts when he shouldn't. He calls everybody out. He fucking likes to swear. He likes to put on a show. And Carlos Prates, even though he's got a ton of knockouts, he can be low volume and do a whole lot of nothing sometimes until he scores that one big punch. So if he's not careful, Charles Radtke is a very live dog here, man. This guy is going to come forward and he's going to try and take his head off. So yes, Prates could knock Charles out for sure. It could happen. But Charles Radtke walking straight down through the fire and knocking Carlos's head off wouldn't shock me either. These are two guys that are going to look to fucking take each other's heads off. And for that reason alone, I'm not too sure I want to bet it unless I'm betting just some kind of under. Or if you're super confident on a side, take by knockout. Because I don't see any way that this fight doesn't end in a knockout. I think Radtke's either going to walk straight into one or he's going to walk through the fire and take Carlos's head off. Either way, I think it's one of the most exciting fights on the card, I think personally. So yeah, even though you probably don't know these names, I'm telling you, this is going to be a fight for a knockout. What do you think?
Radtke does push the pace, man. And if you look at his regional scene tape, he is an athletic grappler. He does grapple, man. But like you said, he does say a lot of bullshit, and his fight IQ is a little off the chain sometimes. He slows down as the fight progresses now. Like Carlos, like you said, powerful striker. He only needs one. Throws a lot of kicks, does make it up, does mix it up, sorry, head, body, legs, all that. But he was losing that fight to Trevin Giles until he was not losing that fight to Trevin Giles. So, like, Radke's going to have the better volume here. Radke's going to be the one moving forward. Is that pressure going to be too much for Prates? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he does have the death touch. Maybe he has the death touch. But, like, this fight is way closer than minus 225 to find out if he has the death touch, right? I feel like he gets out volume. Like, there's value on the dog here. Plus 187. There's huge value on the dog. I'm not playing Prates. If I was going to play this fight, it would be the dog or pass for the simple fact that that low volume really pissed me off. If he didn't knock out Trevin Giles would have like cruised to a decision. 100%. 100%. He was out striking him 60-30 at the point and when he got knocked out. That's double. Trevin Giles just, has a tendency to put his face in the way of a punch. So it is what it is. But like Charles Radtke's chin holds up, then what's the striking number is going to look like?
Yeah.
That's my concern here. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on. 155-pound weight division. We've got 18-7 Thiago Moises versus 21-4-1 Ludovic Klein. Classic striker versus grappler. If Thiago Moises can get Klein down, I mean, he's a way better grappler. Like submission skills wise, I mean, he should. I mean, if he could take the back, get a choke, something like that. I mean, this is definitely Thiago's route to victory. And if Ludovic Klein can stuff the takedowns, he's a way better striker. Klein has had a couple performances in the past where really rubbed me the wrong way, and I thought, this guy's underrated. He's not that good. And then the last few times out, he's looked fantastic. So I got to go with Ludovic Klein coming in at his best, stuffing the takedowns, and easily outstriking Thiago Moises. But again, this might be another one of those live bet. Wait till you see what happens on the first takedown attempt. And if he can stuff that takedown, smash Ludovic Klein. If he gets taken down easily right away, maybe smash Thiago Moises. It's going to come down to whether he can get the takedowns or not to me. And if I had to pick before the fight, I'm going to say Ludovic Klein is going to beat him up on the feet. What do you think?
Ludovic Klein hasn't been taken down more than once in a fight in his 8 UFC fights. So like Moises is I think he's outstruck one tenfold here. On the feed, it's not going to be funny. Every time that Moises is up against a guy where he needs to strike with it. He doesn't win, right? You know what I mean? Like, who's that guy? Benoit Saint Denis took him down, but Joel Alvarez is another one. Islam is that's his, Ismagulov beat him in a unanimous decision because he can outstrike him, right? So, I mean, obviously, Thiago Moises has the better resume. He's fought the better fighters, right? So, I think this is a step up for Ludovic Klein. 89% takedown defense bodes well here. And if he can stay off the ground, I think this is a wash on the feet. I'll probably bet Ludovic Klein pretty decent size here. I do think he wins this fight. It's only minus 125, so that's basically telling me does he win this fight six, seven times out of 10, which I do think so at this point in their careers. But look at Moises' last fight against Mitch Ramirez. He was like playing with him, right? You can't play with Ludovic Klein like that. Like, before Ludovic didn't get into it, but like his last few performances, even the Jai Herbert draw, like that was a pretty good performance too, right? So I mean, he's shown that. And what did Ludovic do to a lesser opponent last time? Wipe the floor with him, right? So Moises is not a lesser opponent by any means, but I don't think his striking is anywhere close.
No, Ludovic is actually in my parlay, so he's a big piece of my night so far. I mean, I'm gonna have more bets closer too, but in my initial first few parlays, Klein is in them because I think the number's good. All right, moving on. Starting off the main card. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Sorry. First fight of the main card, we got Punahele Soriano, 9-4. He is a hard-hitting, plodding boxer, wrestler, I guess. He doesn't really wrestle a whole lot, but he likes to come forward and throw heavy hands. And he's taking on 10-3 Miguel Baeza. Baeza looked fantastic a couple years ago. He had some great performances. He finished Matt Brown, he's a good flashy fighter, good striker, has some submission skills as well. And then all of a sudden he turned kind of chinny. It looks like he can be knocked out kind of easily if you hit him. And that spells bad news against someone who's as hard hitting as Soriano. So Soriano is definitely live for the knockout. But Baeza is the more technical, skilled fighter, I believe. So if he does not get chinned, I think he's the better fighter. I think he's the flashier fighter. I think he's got more tools in the bag. It just becomes if his chin is cracked, I don't know. And Soriano is definitely the type of guy to test it. And Soriano gasses hard too. So to me, there's just too many question marks on this fight. I don't like Soriano's gas tank. I don't like Baeza's his chin. There's just too many red flags for me to bet this fight in general. I think either guy is capable of getting finished here. I think somebody does get finished here. What do you think?
Pass. That's what I think on this fight.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say in a shorter way of saying it.
Baez hasn't fought in 2 years, and he's a fucking like 2-1, 3-1 favorite here. But Punahele Soriano shown you nothing in the last 5 fights, but getting taken down 11 times by Nick Maximov, and another 4 by Dustin Stoltzfus. Like those are names, not household names, because they're not that good. Maximov not even in the promotion anymore, and Stoltzfus is about to get knocked out of the promotion this week, right? So like, I don't know, man. So yeah, man, I don't know what to say. Miguel Baeza has probably the more technical striking when he can technically strike with this guy. Better volume, better range. Punahele Soriano is your one-hit quitter guy, puncher's chance, and he has a puncher's chance here. So it's a pass because this fight can go either way. I'm not going to touch this fight like the next fight too.
Agree 100%. Moving on, next fight of the main card. Not even sure why this is on the main card, but we have 9-4 Julian Marquez versus 6-1 Zach Reese. I feel like Moises and Klein should be on the main card over this fight, but regardless, Marquez coming in as a favorite. I don't like it. I don't like him as a favorite here. I can't believe I'm going to say I'm picking Zach Reese, but I just don't like Julian Marquez. The guy is an absolute tank. Like he's a unit of a man, but I don't know. And he's a pretty tough guy too, so I shouldn't say that he's going to get finished or anything, but he got so outclassed by Marc-Andre Barriol. He does slow down. It's probably because all that muscle. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's gonna pick up Zach Reese and slam him and KO him the way Brundage did or whatever. Like I don't know. I think Zach Reese is the better striker. I think. I mean, he's not as strong, he's not as powerful, but I think he's the better striker and the better grappler potentially. Like I think he's the more skilled fighter. Can he get overpowered? Maybe we're gonna find out. But Julian Marquez is a favorite. I don't know. I don't like it. To me, it's dog or pass, and I'll probably sprinkle Zach Reese on one far shot parlay where I need a dog to really boost it up. But not a confident pick here, and I just wouldn't. All I'm saying is I wouldn't bet the favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Marquez is slow, plodding, but he does have some power behind him, and he does slow down all the time. Reese has the reach and the height here. Striking is a little stiff sometimes. It seems a little stiff. And when he's taken down, he likes to play off his back a little bit too much. I've seen in some of his past tapes, so I don't like that about him. But like Marquez doesn't really push takedowns, right? Like he doesn't go out there with that takedown. Those I believe those submissions he got was like standing guillotine and stuff like that, right? It's just timing kind of things, right? And that was against what, Sam Alvey, and then the sub against Maki Pitolo that was owning him in that fight, right? So losing until like you're winning kind of deal. So yeah, I don't see it here. Zach Reese should be able to I think he should be able to beat him. I think he should be able to knock him out, maybe get him when he's tired. He likes to turtle up against the side of the cage when he's outclassed. He's tough though. I mean, Marc-Andre Barrio, the referee basically sat to save him from his own toughness there, right? So like
Yeah.
he was getting outclassed though, and I think the same thing can happen here. I'm gonna go
All
with the
right.
dog, but I'm not like 100% sure with it. This might more of like I'm like doing and do a single kind of bet.
All right. Moving on, we've got 11-1 Bruno Ferreira versus 15-5 Dustin Stoltzfus. Bruno Ferreira is coming off a rebound win against Phil Haas, Megatron, sorry, where he looked great knocking him out. But honestly, I don't put much stock into that because anybody can knock out Phil Haas. You friggin' flick his chin and he's probably getting knocked out. So I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into that. I don't like Bruno Ferreira as a massive favorite here. I seriously don't. Now, Dustin, not a fantastic, great fighter that I'm saying, oh, go bet this guy. I'm not saying that at all. I think his last fight was actually a win over Soriano, I think.
Yeah.
Let me click it. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I, beating Phil Haas isn't doing it for me. Like I said, I just don't. I think yes, Bruno Ferreira has the power. He's got good hands, whatever. But the fight before that, he was chinned by Nurselton. So I mean, I don't think it warrants him being a huge favorite. I don't think that at all. For me, I'm not even playing this fight, but if I did, I would stab the dog. Would not be a parlay piece, nothing like that at all. I just think Dustin at least can be tough, and maybe Bruno gasses if he doesn't score those first round knockouts. Because when he wins, and he wins quickly, and he wins big. But if he doesn't get you out of there early, I don't know. And maybe that's a crazy take because, like I said, Dustin's not some amazing fighter. I just don't like the odds. The odds are too wide for me to play. I'm not playing this fight. What about you?
Odds are wide, but I like Bruno Ferreira because Stoltzfus has to employ a ground game to win. Like in his last two wins have been fights that he had to get four takedowns in, and I just don't see it here. I just don't see him taking down this guy four times. That's all. And the last fights that he's been lost, he's been finished in. So got knocked out by Abus and finished on the ground by Mearshart and Rodolfo Vieira. But at the same time, he probably were winning both of those fights at two of that point. So he's not a bad fighter. I can't believe in his takedowns here. And when they're on the feed, he's always going to be scared. And he doesn't have the power to knock out Bruno Ferreira. That's my thing, right? I don't think he has the power to knock him out. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna lean towards Bruno Ferreira by knockout. But
Okay.
not a big
Moving on to the featured fight. What's that?
not a big part of my night.
Yeah, no, no. Moving on to the featured fight, we have got the fast rising friendly fan favorite, Raul Rosas Jr., best known for his victory speech saying, "Give me the bonus so I can buy my mom a van to drive me to the fights." That was an awesome speech, actually. But I still don't like the kid. And he's taking on Ricky Turcios, 12-3. I think this fight is way closer than people think. I don't think Raul Rosas Jr. is that good. Yeah, he's a good grappler, but he's shown terrible cardio. His IQ's not great. His striking's not great. I do like that he at least goes for it. I mean, I think it's dumb because obviously he blows his wad out, but I mean, at least he's coming to put on an exciting fight. But I don't trust the kid. The point is, I don't trust him one bit. I don't think Ricky's an amazing fighter at all. I don't. I mean, anybody else, I'm fading Rosas Jr. here or whatever. But even Ricky, I think, has a chance. He's not a terrible grappler who's just going to get taken down and submitted right away. At least I don't think. And if he can survive and get it to round 2 or 3, I think he'll start to take over the fight. But honestly, I'm not betting this fight. It's a straight up pass for me, and I'm actually rooting for the kid to lose. I mean, maybe that makes me sound like an asshole, but I don't know. I don't love Raul Rosas Jr. I don't think he's as good as people think he is. What do you think?
I don't think he's as good as people think he is, but I think he has time to improve. So I'm thinking he improved over his last fight to this fight. And remember, the two fights Ricky Turcios lost in the UFC, he outstruck guys. The two fights that he won, he got taken down 6 and 7 times. So, so it's kind of weird, right? So it's a weird vibe I'm getting here. So what that tells me is that Rosas Jr. should be able to take him down 6, 7 times this fight. Now, how much top control does he roll out on that? And it seems like Ricky's got good scrambles, right? So this fight is a little closer. But, I think it's just going to be dump and pump for the whole fight, and Ricky's just going to get taken down. For all his flaws, Raul Rosas Jr., his wrestling is pretty decent. And if he worked on the gas tank, and I'm hoping he worked on the gas tank, then, should be fine here because Turkey.
That is alarming, though. That cardio is alarming.
It is alarming. I'm not making this a huge part of my night, but I also don't have the balls to bet on Ricky Turcios here. I just don't. I think Rosas is the better grappler. I think he should be able to get it down. Odds aren't terrible. They are wide, but not terrible. Anyways, on to the next one, which I have a good take on.
All right, co-main event. We've got former title challenger, former fighter that a lot of the world thinks beat John Jones, and that is Dominic Reyes, 12-4, coming off of 3 straight knockout losses, and he's coming in against Dustin Jacoby, 19-8-1. Jacoby, best known as a glory kickboxer. He's a world-class kickboxer, came in, he's bounced around different weight divisions, fantastic striker, which on paper it looks like it spells doom for Dominic Reyes, who might be chin checked here. However, Dustin Jacoby is not a huge power striker. He's way more technical. I mean, he's been in there with everyone. Very, very durable guy. Decent volume. Like he throws a lot out there. Judges don't like him because it's a lot of pitter patter shots. So some of his losses, I thought he won, but judges clearly don't like his style. Then you got Dominic Reyes, full, very tall, lanky, light heavyweight, very bigger. Like he's the more athletic athlete here. He should be more explosive. He cracks a lot harder. He should be the much better wrestler. Not that I think there's going to be a lot of wrestling in this fight, but he should be the quicker, stronger athlete. But how many times has this guy been knocked out? And since that Yuri knockout, he has just not been the same. I mean, that was a vicious spinning back elbow, whatever the hell you want to call that strike. But he lost something that night. His brains got scrambled and his chin has never been the same. And then, I mean, Ryan Spann obviously shut his lights out. Ryan Spann's a big power striker as well. I think Dustin Jacoby is a better fighter than Ryan Spann. I think his hands are better than Ryan Spann. I think his striking is better than Ryan Spann. I think his durability is better than Ryan Spann, but he doesn't have that power. So this fight is a little bit trickier. I think the whole world's on Dustin Jacoby. I have Dustin Jacoby in a couple of parlays, but Dominic Reyes at his best can win this fight. He can. He can use those leg kicks. He can use his range, and he can win a decision because he ain't going to finish Dustin Jacoby. He will not. If you're on Reyes, you're Reyes and an over, like a decision, because that's how he's going to win the fight. If you're on Jacoby, it might be a knockout. I'm on Jacoby, but I realize how good Reyes is at his best. What do you think?
Reyes isn't good anymore, though. He lost 4 in a row, and he hasn't looked good in any of them, except for maybe the Prochazka fight for a while. Jacoby should actually have the better volume here, and yeah, man, I just don't see. I think he's in the twilight of his career, Reyes. Man, I just think Jacoby's going to be quicker, faster, the better striker. And even if he doesn't knock him out, he's going to land more volume. And Jacoby lands more volume than pretty much anybody he fights. He loses fights where he lands more volume, but the UFC doesn't want to see Dominic Reyes win this fight because what do you do with him next, right? At least Jacoby you can do something with, right? So that's my take on it. I think Jacoby's the better, longer, rangier striker, more volume, and he wins it either way, decision or knockout. And Jacoby comes with some crisp punches once in a while, and one crisp punch will do it here. You don't need a whole bunch.
I just want to say too, Dominic Reyes dodged an absolute bullet by pulling out of that Carlos Ulberg fight a couple of weeks ago. He would have been career over that night.
Oh, for sure.
All right, guys, moving on to the main event. We have got Jared Cannonier, 17-6, former title contender, versus 13-4, Nasruddin Imavov. Cannonier, not the most volume, but he looked great last fight against Vettori. He looked fantastic, but generally speaking, I find him low volume. I thought he robbed Sean Strickland. I did not think he won that fight. And then Nasruddin Imavov, I think, is getting better and better and better. Yes, Sean Strickland beat him quite handily, but Imavov actually showed improved cardio that fight because he won the fifth round. Whereas Imavov has shown in the past he's faded in long fights, but he won round 5 against Strickland. Went on to dominate Chris Curtis, even though I think was that the fight that they called no contest or some shit. I don't know. One of those fights was he got robbed of a win. He was absolutely dominating. I can't believe the odds are where they are, and I get it. Cannonier has power, and he looked so good against Vettori. I think Imavov is going to dominate this fight. And I know there's a ton of people on the Cannonier side, so maybe I'm nuts, but I just can't get there on 40-year-old Cannonier against Imavov, who's looking better every single fight. Like I said, I'm not taking too much into his losses. I think Imavov's looking better and better and better. I think this guy's a problem. I think he's a future title contender for sure. I think if Robert Whitaker outstruck Cannonier, I think Imavov's going to have no problem outstriking him, and I like his durability. I'm not worried about him getting chinned, so that leaves Cannonier to only decision him, and I don't think he's going to win enough minutes to decision him. So I like Imavov here. And like I said, I've seen a lot of other people picking Cannonier. I'm pretty high on Imavov. What do you think?
I think over the last 3 fights, Cannoniers look better and better in each fight, man. That's what I think. On 40 years old doesn't mean much here. If he fights like he fought against Marvin Vettori, Imavov's done here, man. He like really is.
Is he? Vettori sucks at striking, though.
Yeah, I get it, but like Imavov, is he going to take down Cannonier? No. Is he great at 5 round fights? No. He does tire. He tired against Phil Hawes, buddy. Like
That was his debut. That was his UFC debut.
I understand, but there's still
He
some.
didn't tire last fight against Dolidze. He
Yeah,
dominated.
he did. No, but Leadze throws no volume, right? Listen, if Jared comes out and is old school Jared with 50 to 60 significant strikes, then this is going to be a walk in the park for Imavov. But if the new Jared comes out with over 100 to 150 strikes, uh, I swear to God, Cannonier's got the better gas tank in this fight. And I also think he's the tougher guy, and he hits harder. Imavov's technically good, and this is a good fight, and I think the odds should be this close. And Cannonier is one of those weird guys that, over 40, he's actually looked better. So, gotta remember, this guy came all the way down from fucking heavyweight to where he's at now, and he looks like a brick shithouse. And I don't know, he doesn't really knock guys out, but he does fight smart lately. And plus 100 though, I don't know. I'll check. I'm not parlaying this fight. I'm gonna.
Off topic, but honestly, who do you think's a better striker, Imavov or Whitaker?
Probably, I guess. I don't know. They're both the same.
I think Imavov would lay him out.
Maybe.
And I don't think Cannonier beat Strickland. I thought he absolutely robbed him. So these Cannonier wins, to me, they're just he beat Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori beats you when he can take you down. He doesn't outstrike anybody. Vettori got beat up on the feet by Roman Dolidze.
Yeah, man. You're right. Anyway,
Hey,
not a big part of my night.
it's an interesting fight. Like you said, the odds make sense. We're going to see whoever wins, like they're right there again. So it's a good fight. We're going to get some answers from it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Guys, we're going to post a couple parlays. A-Train, I'll get some from you too. We'll post some bets for you guys to take a look at. Let us know your favorite picks, what you disagree with, your favorite props. And hopefully we smash it like we did UFC 302. Please like, please subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.